Welcome back to the 2-Minute Warning, episode 413. Today, back on the topic of Major League Baseball, and I'm going to be looking at whether or not the San Diego Padres are going to win the National League West. Of course, really not a whole lot in that division between anybody else but the Padres and the Dodgers. So again, I'm going to be looking at whether or not the Padres can win that division. But first question today, and that is for you Padres fans. Who has the most franchise career at-bats with the San Diego Padres? Again, if you know the answer, comment below. And if you don't, stick around to the end of the video and we'll discuss it then. But let's get right into the video. First thing I want to do is kind of eliminate some contenders from this National League West division, and that is going to be the Diamondbacks are going to be kind of not considered for contention. The Giants, I don't want to say the Giants are a really bad team. 2019, they won 77 games. Last year, they were a game below 500. They're certainly not going to be really shocking anybody this year, but Giants are not going to be considered for this conversation. And then, of course, the Colorado Rockies, who have since just fallen apart, are not going to be in the conversation. So we're looking at the Padres or the Dodgers, really. Can the Padres beat the Dodgers for the division? 2020, Dodgers went 43-17. Padres went 37-23. So the Dodgers did have a better year and obviously take the division last season. But the Padres have gotten a lot better since then. So I do certainly think it's possible. And in all honesty, if the Dodgers and this whole Trevor Bauer agreement doesn't necessarily work out, I do think the Padres can take the division. And what I mean by that is, I guess this season, this upcoming season, the Trevor Bauer deal will probably help the Dodgers. I do expect Trevor Bauer to have a good year. He's looking pretty good in spring training. But I have mentioned before problems that will be created in the future as far as paying Trevor Bauer $40 million in a season when you also need to keep Corey Seager in a top 3 shortstop in the league with the Dodgers. So that's going to create problems in the future. But like I said, I still think even if Trevor Bauer struggles this coming season, which I do think is possible because, as I said, he's never had to share the spotlight with other pitchers that are just as good or better than him in Clayton Kershaw, in Walker Buehler, Dustin May. So I do think Trevor Bauer might not really be as good as we think he will be in L.A., but the problem then, at least the problem for the Padres, is even if Trevor Bauer struggles, you still got 4 other pitchers that are lights out, or 3 other pitchers that are lights out, and a lineup that can out-hit anybody in baseball. So looking at what the Padres have on their side, well, of course, their additions to their pitching staff. In Darvish, in Joe Musgrove, and Blake Snell, to say the least. I think Blake Snell is probably the best pitcher out of those that they acquired. But, of course, Darvish finishing second in National League Cy Young voting last year, second to Trevor Bauer himself. So this pitching staff, in addition to Dinelson Lamet, who was already there, and Chris Paddock, who is obviously a young guy but has really taken the league by storm in his young career, and Mike Clevenger, who, of course, will be recovering from Tommy John, but is still a great pitcher by all means. So the Padres pitching staff, I think, is the only pitching staff in baseball that can go, maybe the Braves as well, but I think the Padres are still better pitching than the Braves, that can go toe-to-toe with the Dodgers pitching staff and maybe on any given day be better. So I do believe 100% that the Padres have the pitching staff to win this division 100%. Like I said, with those 5 guys in Paddock, Darvish, Snell, Lamet, and Musgrove, plus Mike Clevenger whenever he's healthy. So, and like I said, compared to Buehler and Bauer and Kershaw and Dustin May and David Price, if David Price stays with the Dodgers. So like I said, Padres pitching staff, 100% good enough to win this division. But now we go into the lineup versus the Dodgers. Of course, it's just a matter of who wins more games. The Dodgers is already a team that I think if you want to bet, Vegas has the over-under of like 106.5 games that they're going to win. And honestly, I think I might take the over. I think this is a team that can win 108, 9, 10 games. That's definitely on the table with as good as the team the Dodgers have put together. And within the Padres, not far behind, this is a team that I think is going to win 100, 105 games, which, I guess based off those predictions, Dodgers are taking the division. But, of course, it's not necessarily going to stick to that exact template that I have laid out. So the Padres have a very, very good infield. In starting behind the plate in Austin Nola, they have a top 10 catcher in the league. I believe if you look at MLB's top 10 at each position rankings, Nola is at 6. But you go across to the Dodgers, you got Will Smith, who's a young, super talented guy that is 3rd on the list. So both teams have good catchers, but I guess you got to give the edge to Will Smith and the Dodgers. Looking at first base, Muncie versus Eric Hosmer. I think very highly of Eric Hosmer. While he's not ranked top 10 in first baseman, if you look at MLB's rankings, I believe he deserves to be. And regardless of where Max Muncie is, I do think that I don't think he's in the top 10 either, but I'm not sure. I'm giving the edge to Eric Hosmer. I do like Eric Hosmer better. I think he's better defensively, and I think he's more consistent swinging the bat, even if Max Muncie might hit more home runs. Look at second base, Jake Cronenworth versus Gavin Lux. Gavin Lux was was a very highly sought-after prospect coming into the MLB, hit 160 last year, did not have a good season. I will take Jake Cronenworth over Gavin Lux. Then at shortstop, Tatis versus Seager. I don't know. Seager right now, the better player. I'm taking Seager at the moment, but I think Tatis has more potential. So give him a year or two. I think Tatis is the better player. But right now, Seager coming off a World Series MVP. Really, you don't want many guys over him. But I do think Tatis, especially with the way the Padres have really put their franchise in his hands, I think that Tatis will eventually be better. But I think right now, Corey Seager's the better player. And then at third base, Manny Machado, Justin Turner. I do like Justin Turner better. I think Justin Turner's better player overall. He's a better person, that's for sure. Machado's kind of he's a dirty player. And Turner's better in the postseason. So I guess you give the edge to Turner at third base. So really in the infield, I think the Dodgers have a slight edge. So I don't know. Probably produce less errors with the Dodgers, but it's very even. And in the outfield, the Dodgers take the edge with A.J. Pollock, Cody Bellinger, Mookie Betts versus Trent Grisham, Will Myers, and Tommy Pham. Three guys that are solid by all means, but I do think the Dodgers have the better outfield. So of course, based off of that, the Dodgers do have a slightly better team, but the Padres are certainly strong. And when it comes down to who's going to win the division, I still think that it's definitely on the table for the Padres to do it. They play 18 times this regular season. And I do think that the more I look at the matchup and the more I think about it, I really want to say the Padres have just as good, if not just a little bit of a better pitching staff, because Kershaw, while he is definitely one of the better pitchers in baseball history, he's getting a little older. He just got his first ring, so good for him. But he has proven in the past to not necessarily be spot on when you really need him. And then, of course, David Price is a guy that is definitely getting older, and I don't even know if he'll be with the Dodgers in next season. I think they might part ways with him, trade him, whatever. So then you're down to a pitching staff with Buehler and May and Trevor Bauer, of course. But then you've got guys that are new to the team like Julio Urias, a lefty, the guy that closed out the World Series last year that I think will be implemented into the starting rotation. So the Dodgers are going to be fine, even if they part ways with David Price and if Kershaw is not lights out this year. But if I'm going to have to give the NL West to a team, I think it's going to be Dodgers. I mean, they're predicted to win more games. They've done so over the past 2 or 3 seasons, won the most games in the league. Like I said, if you want to bet on it, the over-under is 106.5. At least it was a couple weeks ago. But, I mean, like I said, this Padres team is certainly very, very good on paper and should be on the field. But if I'm gonna have to give a team the most wins out of the division, it's gonna be the Dodgers. They have the roster to play good regular season baseball. But then again, if this series comes down to something in the postseason, that could totally change. So overall, yes, the NL West I think is certainly on the table for the Padres to win. But if I had to put money on it, I'm gonna go the Dodgers win that division. Guys, comment below whether or not you think the Padres can or will win the NL West, because I think they can but won't. Guys, that's all for the video. And as far as your question of the day, the most at-bats in Padres franchise history is from Tony Gwynn. I think he has like 9,800 and change. Guys, thanks for watching. 2-Minute Warning.